Okay, here we are. We're live. Thank you for your patience. Had some technical difficulties, and I'm working through this technology thing. Need some help with your finances? Listen, I can run through it, make it happen, and make your money sing. This technology thing is challenging me just a bit. Big shout out to the guys in Cambridge, Dion and Keisha and Wendy, for all your help helping me go live. So obviously, so when I originally set this up, it was a broader scope, and so there were more things in play. I have a prop over here, and we'll maneuver. Bear with me, but we'll make it work. So first, I want to say welcome and thank you for joining my community and taking enough interest in what it is I have to say. And I must say, I truly believe, well, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, you'll be blessed by it. But I want to thank you and welcome you to my to Everyday Wealth Systems. Big shout out to Trevor and Shay for the work that you've done, and all the folks who've been a part of my team as associates. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and how Everyday Wealth Systems came about. A lot of you know me as Larry King, Financial Solutions for Life. When I hired the team that I hired to help me bring this message to the forefront and have the impact that it deserves, one of the first things they heard when I told my story was, he's the everyday guy. He's the everyday guy. This guy shows people how to make money just living every day, doing everyday things. And it was with that same excitement and enthusiasm that they revealed it. And so they came up with the name. Larry, you're the everyday wealth guy. Your company name is going to be Everyday Systems. It's Everyday Wealth Systems. And so I liked it. It seems to fit because, folks, I'm a very simple guy. For those of you who've known me over the last 10, 20 years, I have simplified my life in ways that are, very different from the way I started out. So a little bit about me. I'm from a small town on the Eastern Shore, Maryland. Yay, Cambridge, Maryland. And born and raised there up until about the age of 10. Moved with my mom to Boston, Massachusetts, where all my sisters resided. And my father and my dad lived in Cambridge. And so we made the journey. I was 10. And I have a beautiful family of, it's two sisters now and three brothers. So it's five of us left. It's five of us left. So two brothers, myself, and my two sisters. God bless them. So just a small town regular guy, but always had a big dream of living a life and doing big things and what have you. And at a very early age, my brother taught me how to be an entrepreneur. And he taught me so because I wanted to buy a bicycle. And he challenged me that he would put up the money for me to buy the bike, and I had to pay him back in pennies for 3 months. And so I started working, and every time I would buy candy or anything, I would get pennies back. And I gave him a big jug of pennies, and he's been one of my best creditors ever since. I was 8 then. And so fast forward to being a young adult, I've done pretty well in my life, made pretty good money, and I ended up at 40 broke. I was broke, $88,000 in debt, and frustrated because my whole life I bought everything with cash. It was all about having money, and I thought this is the way you need to do it, right? But nobody told me the secret was in how much you kept and how much of that money you kept you put to work and made it make money. And so when you think about it, right, if you put money to work, guess what? It works in places while you're asleep, in the market, in products and services, and it's always working and reproducing itself, right? And so that's the way to really accumulating wealth and creating and designing the life that you desire. So how did I end up taking on this particular path, getting on this path to financial services? Well, as I said, I went broke at 40, and being used to buying everything I needed with cash, I could buy clothes and shoes and cars, but now I was endeavoring to buy a house. And we all know when you go to buy a house, right? They pull all three of your scores. They check your credit. You've got to have a certain credit as a benchmark before you can even have the discussion. And you got to basically be clean. Your credit has to be clean. And so my credit wasn't clean. I had a lot of blemishes and what have you. But in the process, what I found was there's a whole industry out here that really it feels, and I don't mean to diminish or bad talk anybody, any industry, but I'm gonna keep it real with you. It's predatory. When you see anything that says your paycheck is your credit, there's a big interest rate attached to it. When you see anything that says, it says your job is your credit. When you see anything that's talking about, put your car up for collateral, or because you have a job, we'll give you money, and you're paying 3, 4, 500% interest in some cases with payday loans, and then there are the title loans. These products and services, they do have a place. Don't get me wrong. Every product and service pretty much has a place, right, that it's designed for. But here's what they understand. Most people do not have the financial savvy to operate with those particular tools in order to maximize the use that they're borrowing the money for, and then pay it back efficiently within the terms, and thus reducing the amount of cost, the amount of the cost for that money. And so now, because they don't understand that, and they're using it for something that may not be business related or investment related, now it starts accruing interest at a very rapid rate. And before you know it, you're in over your head and you can't figure out how the heck to get out, because it's a vicious circle, and you need to do something very radical in order to get out of that situation. And so I was negative 88. I'm broke. I'm negative 88 and can't figure out how to make this happen to be able to buy this house. And so I dealt with all kinds of ads. I responded to ads in the paper. I saw advertisements on the TV, magazines. We can help you. Credit's not a problem. We help you rebuild. Folks, I got taken. And the final straw was a group that was right here in the PG County area, who I laid out all of my sins. This is what my credit score is. I have like 30 some derogatories on my credit. I've got I-9s and R9s all on my credit report. Don't worry about it. We can get you financed. We can get you bought into that house. Don't worry about it. And so what did they do? They had me give them a check for $395 for the application fee. And they told me, and I learned something very valuable. They told me, yeah, we pre-qualified you for $350,000. Now, at the time, I was only making like $57,000, right? And so I was like, wow, it felt great. So I went for it. And lo and behold, about 4 days later, I'm on the golf course, feeling kind of good because I'm going to be able to buy this house. And I get a call, and the guy says, hey, Larry, look, man, I got some great news and I got some not so great news. The great news is what it is. The not so great news, we can work it out. And so all you have to do, so here's the great news. You're approved. We got you qualified. The not so great news is we got to go on your credit report. We got to take care of this, and we got to write a letter for that, and we got to do this. And I said, okay. But I explained that to you on the front end. Well, I know you did, but we had to actually pull it and see it for ourselves, and this, that, and the other. I was like, oh, okay. So now how long is this process going to take? Well, you're probably talking about 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Really? Well, it was best that I was on the golf course, because needless to say, I was one not so happy camper. And being in the presence of that gentleman, getting that news, it would not have been pretty. I hate to say that, but I'm being honest, because in my opinion, I was dealing with an integrity-based organization, and I poured out my heart and told them exactly what the heck was going on in my world. They assured me, even with that information, that they could help me. They flat out lied. And folks, unfortunately, because we are not savvy in our finances, we're subject to the integrity of the people we're dealing with. And that's not to say that all people are bad or all businesses who are in the financial services are bad. But what it is to say is that, you know, my mom would always say to me, she's like, you know, what it was her biblical quote, it was study to show thyself approved, right? You know, gain knowledge. And so what I began to do was to read and to learn and to begin to understand money and how it worked. And so what I've done, folks, so here's the big part of that story. I stopped trying to find a shortcut and respond to all these ads. I wrote out all my debt, and it came to a crazy whopping number, and I'll share that with you later. And when I wrote out all my debt, I was blown away at the number. But then what I did was I put together a plan to begin to call my creditors, negotiate balances, and begin to at the same time work on my credit. Needless to say, 2.5 years later, I was 100% debt free. And I began the process of building wealth. Now, I used some tools and I got a lot of information. And one of the things I want to throw out here is a term we all hear. You know, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And I agree. Knowledge is power. But knowledge coupled with application equals empowerment. And if you want to take your life in any direction you decide, I say to you it's possible. But the only way you're going to be able to do that is to apply whatever knowledge you learn. Otherwise, knowledge is like the books that sit on the shelf. They just collect dust. It's of no real value in your life. And so what I was able to do by applying this knowledge was to accelerate the payoff of a very large amount in a short period of time. And then I was a good student and I began to start to build wealth. Right? And so in a year and a half, from the 2.5 years that I was, you know, sacrificing and reducing all my expenses, a year and a half later, I was cash flowing about $12,000 a month, and I had a net worth of just under $750,000. And so I began to live a different existence. And the reason why it was different because my priorities had changed. I now developed these habits, and Anthony Robbins says every discipline has multiple rewards. And so through these multiple disciplines, or through these multiple new habits and multiple disciplines, I began to live my life with intention and on purpose. So I was no longer worried about whether I had on designer clothes, or what kind of shoes I had on, or what car I drove. All I was concerned about was putting my money to work. And the way I put it to work was I bought properties, and then I bought silver and gold. And then I began to invest in instruments that were tax-free instruments that through, like for instance, I had an IRA and I had a 401k, but I learned about a Roth IRA. Now, the difference is night and day, and the difference could cost you a lot of money in your retirement when you go to start pulling those resources to live off of at 65. I'm not an accountant. This is not accounting, or, you know, look for a CPA or someone to advise you in those areas. But I can tell you that there is a night and day difference in the benefits that you get from a Roth IRA as opposed to a regular IRA. And so I began to read and learn and apply this knowledge. And it was, I mean, and before you know it, money was just accumulating and accumulating. So, you know, an asset is something that you buy that pays for itself and makes you a profit. A liability is something that you buy, and when you buy it, you also have to pay to maintain it. And so one gives and the other one takes, right? And so the liabilities, those things we purchase, they generally are shiny and pretty, and when people see you, you know, they stare and they gawk and they're like, wow, who is that person? They're so cool. They're so together. And you know, it strokes your ego a little bit, right? And you feel kind of good about that. And so what I'm going to talk to you about is some self-awareness and some understanding and an evolved awareness and consciousness. And when you do that, you don't really need those people to stroke your ego based on what you wear, because you know what you possess. And it's what you possess and the assets that you have that's the foundation of your life and what you will build it on. And more importantly, when you decide no longer to trade your skills and your knowledge and your technical abilities for someone else's pay, you have resources that will begin to pay you. Okay? And so one of the things I want to do, I want to kind of keep this brief. I'll take some questions, but I wanted to just introduce myself, introduce how Everyday Wealth Systems came about. Folks, very simply, I took this big idea. I wasn't a money guy in the sense that I was an accountant or CPA or bookkeeper. I didn't like dotting I's, nor did I like crossing T's. And so the reason why I ended up in that situation was because I lived my life really, day by day. I did all the things I thought I wanted to do. I thought I was being successful because I got my education, I studied hard, I got a good job, and I also was an entrepreneur, and I made a lot of money. And I had a lot of things to even show that I made a lot of money. But I did not know how to put money to work for me. And so when the source of my money ended, there went my money. And that seems to be statistically, or according to statistics, that seems to be the way that a lot of Americans are living. There's a statistic that says 96% of all Americans will reach age 65 either dead, so they won't reach it, right? Dead broke, meaning that they've worked all their life. They cannot retire. They either have to live with friends or family or be taken care of by the government or continue working, right? 96%. That's staggering. But why is that? Well, because we don't really understand how money works, right? So 3%, and we've heard about those folks, right? The 3%ers are those individuals who have kind of plodded along month after month, year after year, putting aside a little bit of money here, a little money there, in this fund, that fund, buying a property, securing the future, keeping their expenses lower than their income, saving the difference, and year after year after year after year, when they're ready to retire, they do so very comfortably. So for those 30, 40 years that they chose to work, they now are able to settle and allow the resources that they have invested, that have been working for them and accumulating large sums of money, to take a payout every month, replacing their salary without them having to go to work. Now, folks, a lot of folks will say, yeah, I can't see myself not working. And I understand that. You may want to volunteer. You may want to, step out, and you've always wanted to take a hobby that you have and turn it into a little enterprise. Or you may want to just take a job just so you can get out of the house, be active. It's a way of staying connected. But here's the thing about that. It now is your choice, not your obligation in order to take care of your life. And so there's a difference. And then, of course, we have those folks who are the 1%ers. And we've all heard about the 1%ers, particularly in the political climate. The last few election cycles, you hear about the 1%ers, right? 1%ers are individuals who have amassed enough of a fortune that they can actually, if no one ever worked another day for 4 generations, they could take care of those individuals, those family members, right? That's a huge amount of money. And so let's come back a little bit, right? Let's come back a little bit and focus on getting out of this 96% group and looking towards getting into that 3% group. And I'm going to help you through knowledge and information, share with you how to very, very strategically and with almost certain predictability begin to change your life from ordinary to extraordinary. And so one of my slogans is, if you have a predictable income, and I'm going to say this and I don't mean any harm, and hopefully no one takes any offense, whether you're receiving some sort of subsidy from the state or federal government, meaning whatever it may be, retirement or social services or some kind of public assistance, whether you're receiving that form of predictable income on a monthly basis, whether you're working a job and getting paid weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, I don't care. As long as you have a predictable source of income, I can show you how to strategically operate in your finances in a way that will move your whole life situation from ordinary drudgery, depressed and despair, debts are greater than the money that you have. Can't take off from work to spend time or go to the soccer game or the football game with the kids. Can't even really plan a vacation because the money's not there. That existence goes away. Goes away. I'm not talking about going out buying Ferraris and, we can put you on that path if that's what you want to do. But my program, very simply put, is everyday wealth systems. It's for those people who are very comfortable with going to work every day, getting up, going through what they go through to get there, go to work, put in their time, come home, and do it all over again for the next 20, 30, 40 years. You are the people that I'm talking to. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a person who wants to, do some big things and make great contributions, we can help you too. But it all starts with some very basic fundamentals. So I'm going to use a basketball metaphor, right? Guy could be, or young lady, could be 6 feet or taller, or 6'5" or taller, right? The epitome of what we think being successful on the court is. But if they can't dribble the ball, hear me, if they can't dribble the ball from here to there, guess what? Because if you don't dribble, it's a foul. Or, I'm sorry, it's you get called. It's, you double dribbled or you traveled or you walked or whatever you call it these days, right? So if I don't care how big you are, you've got to know how to do that, right? So the same thing in your finances. If you don't use the most fundamental tool to manage and monitor your resources, you will quickly not have them. Right? So, what I want you guys to do, hey, thanks for all the shout outs. I'm into this thing, and so I'm not really able to read. Let me say, some folks are watching. Yes, it's your choice. Very good, Dion. Thank you. Great information. Thanks, Larry. Sharika Harris, thank you so much. Keisha, thank you. All right, now I want to be able to make a choice. There you go. Folks, that's really what it's all about, being able to make that choice, right? So it starts with a very, very fundamental tool. Now I'm going to share with you what that tool is. And you can go out and you can get one. You can download it. But that tool without the knowledge is just a tool, right? So the fundamental tool is you got to have a budget. You've got to have a budget. So I liken a budget to this. How many of you would get in your car, travel, say, from one destination to the next that is probably 150 miles, and you're going to go through 2 or 3 different speed zones, but you're going to make that journey without a speedometer? How many of you would drive a car that didn't have a speedometer, and you're going to go through 3 or 4 different speed zones? It's maybe in the city, and it might be 35 or 25. Without the speedometer, how do you know how fast you're moving and whether you're violating the law, making yourself subject to a ticket or even worse, an accident, right? No one would. No one would get in the car and start driving without a speedometer because you won't know how fast you're going. Now, you can get a good idea by the flow of the traffic, but what if everybody you're in the flow with is doing 80 and the speed limit's 55? Right? You run the risk of getting stopped. So, what do we use in our lives to monitor what we're spending and what we're earning and where we are at any given point in that month? I wasn't using one. I thought it was like, that's a headache. I didn't even balance my checkbook. I just kept calling the bank back then. Couldn't text it with your phone or whatever. I just called the bank and hear that recording and tell me what my balance was, right? And so that was my method. And so totally out of control. So here's one of the things I want to share with you, right? I was thinking about this morning, and as I was preparing to come to set up and do this. Here's how critical understanding how money works is. Money's simply a tool. When you wake up in the morning, most of us use some device to alarm to wake us up. That device costs money. When you get up, you're stretching and you go, and you turn the shower on and let the water run. The minute you turn the shower on to get yourself prepared to bathe and prepare for the morning, for the day, you just spent more money. Then you get out of the shower, you grab your toothbrush, and you put your whatever you use, Close-Up, Crest, Colgate, I don't know. And you put that on and you run water and you start brushing your teeth. You just spent money. Toothpaste. The toothbrush was a long-term investment. Hopefully you change it, at least every month, month and a half, right? Then you get that part. Then you go to your wardrobe and you put on your nice wares and get yourself all together, and you might spray some cologne. Well, wait. You put on deodorant first, right? More money, right? Then you put on your little accessories and more money. Put on your clothes, more money. Go upstairs or downstairs, wherever you go, and you got the coffee pot running, and somebody's cooking the breakfast or the oatmeal or cereal or whatever. Go in the refrigerator, get the creamer or the milk for the cereal or the eggs for more money, right? So isn't it interesting that everything, we haven't even talked about lunch, dinner, special occasions, kids, activities, extracurricular. We haven't talked about that. We just talked about getting out of bed. And you're spending money. But why is it that money is a subject that, as important as it is in our lives, we will do any and everything in the world to not talk about it? We will not talk about it. It is said that folks will rather talk about their sex life before they will talk about their money. Now, isn't that interesting? Right? Folks spend more time planning a vacation than they do their budget and where they're going to be in a year, and 3 years, and 5 and 10 years, and when they retire. They spend less. Folks, when you hook up with Everyday Wealth Systems, these are all things that are on the table. We're going to take that basic tool and we're going to design and script a life that is yours. It's designed specifically for you. Yours won't be like that person's. That person's won't be like yours. Yeah, there may be some similarities, but it's going to be yours. It's not mine. It's not my idea of yours. It is yours. If you say you want to, by the time you retire and you have 15 years until that happens, or 20 years until that happens, you want to make $50,000 a year after you retire, per month, I'm going to do everything I can do to help you do it. Everything. And it's simple mathematics. It really is. Now, if you say I want to have $1,500 a month, or $10,000 a month, I want to be able to have $10,000, but be able to have another $2,000 that I set aside to just give away and help other people, or give to charity. Whatever your design is, that's where we will start from, with that in mind. But the very first thing we got to do is we got to kill all interest-bearing accounts. We've got to modify all expenditures on a monthly basis. We've got to take whatever your income is and reduce your spending so that the difference between the two is where your wealth destination lies. So if you make $5,000 a month and your expenses are $4,000, we need to get it down to $3,000. If you make, that probably wasn't a good analogy, right? If you make $5,000 and your expenses are $5,000 or over, we need to get it down to at least, $4,800. And then once we get it to $4,800, now we need to implement some things. We need to call Connective or Pepco or BG&E, whoever you use, right? We need to call the gas company. We need to look at our cable bill. We need to look at cell phones. We need to look at the car we drive. We need to modify everything that we do because you're doing it for your own best interest, right? So now we reduced it to 48. Now we're going to reduce it to 4, right? And then what we're going to do is set you up on a track where you start eliminating it. So now after a year, you got it down to 28 or 3,000. And then we're going to cut that thing until now your 5, the only thing that's coming against it is say 25. That leaves you $2,500 every month to build your wealth. And folks, what you'll come to realize is that you don't need a whole lot of that stuff that you think you do in order to live the life of your dreams. Folks, I eliminated that debt in 2.5 years and then started cash flowing. My whole life changed. Now, because I was living a disciplined life and lifestyle, I did not go out when I got when I got debt free and buy a great big nice fancy car. And don't get me wrong, they look nice, and I thought about it a few times. And I didn't start now, I still went to Nordstrom's Rack. I still went to TJ Maxx. I still went to Marshalls. I still went to Ross's. I still went to thrift shops. You know why? Because when I'm auditioning Larry for someone to choose me, I'm really not interested in the person who's choosing me based on the stuff that I got. I really am not. I'm interested in the person who's choosing me based on the person that I am. And so having a bunch of shiny, fancy things are not necessarily what's driving me to be the person that I am, right? And so it really made life a whole lot clearer, right? So not only that, now I'm taking vacations. And I can go on vacation and buy souvenirs for everybody I know. Whereas before, I'd go on vacation and be like, I gotta watch what I spend here and watch what I spend there. And then I'm thinking about halfway through the vacation, dang, how am I gonna pay this? But you still want to look like you're having a great time. You see folks out maybe in that pretty blue water, jet skiing or parasailing or doing whatever they're doing. They're enjoying their vacation. And you're there in some exotic, beautiful island, but you can't participate. Why? Because you took everything you had to get there. You don't have enough to really enjoy it the way that you would like to. How about flipping that? And now not only can you go, you can participate, you can share the experience and the thoughtfulness to those that you care about back home or whatever by bringing them something special. And here's the best part. Then you get home, and when you reconcile all your bills, you go over here to this account and you click the transfer button and you transfer the whole amount that you put on your credit card for that trip. You click that and you pay it off. Now that's living. That's some awesome stuff. No stress. No stress. So I had a situation just before Thanksgiving. A friend of mine who's really like a big brother, a mentor, and a friend. And some of you responded in prayer for me on my visit to my friend Abdus. He called me and he wasn't doing so well. And he said, Larry, things are really tough and I'm at a place in my life. He's 67 years old and I think I'm going to do some things differently and I just want to make you aware of it. And I said to him, Abdus, I understand and I've been there and hey man, I'd love to support you. Can I just come and visit you? And he says, sure. I said, well, what would be good? He said, well, if you come on a Friday and maybe stay until Monday, I'd appreciate it. I said, okay. I just turned and went online and first I looked for a flight, right? And the flights were really, really expensive, right? Now, if it was life or death and I had to do it, I could have. But being the frugal person that I am, I took a train. I took a train in the wee hours in the morning that got me there when he was going to be released at the hospital, so that worked. I got a car, rented a car, thanks to some promotions and that a friend turned me on to. Got a car, hung up, got the car, went to the hospital, picked him up, took him home, had a great time. We shared, we reminisced, talked to old friends. His mom was awesome. We just had a great time, right? Now, let me share something with you. It was a wonderful experience. I left on a Monday, caught the train back, and everything worked out perfect. There was a time when, as badly as I knew I needed to be with that friend, that because of poor choices and lack of knowledge and mismanagement of resources, I wouldn't have been able to make that trip. I would not have been able to make that trip. So when I'm talking to you about putting your life in balance and using one of the most precious resources that you will have in order to do that, I'm not talking about everything pie in the sky and shiny and glitzy. There's some human stuff that happens when you have the means to touch and impact lives that are priceless. And how many of those have we missed? How many of those, as simple as being able to, your kid got a scholarship or got selected to go on an academic experience, abroad. And it's cool that you got friends and families who you can, solicit and raise money and make that happen. But wouldn't it be even cooler if all you had do was go to your bank account and just click and move that money and let your kids' academic experience be enhanced and their life be forever impacted? Wouldn't that be cool? And here's the thing, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna pull the easel in, and I'm gonna share this with you, right? As hard to believe as it may sound, and as challenging or difficult, and you may think you have to be transformed into this guru and all kinds of fortunes and lotteries need to happen in order for it. Look, with the same money that you bring home every single week, or every 2 weeks, or every month, the exact same money can be used to really change your life. And I'm going to take a moment now and do some live illustrations and show you before I close this up. Okay? Is that okay? Let me see what we got out here. Yeah. How do we sign up for the course? Here's the beautiful part, Keisha. There's no course to sign up for. I'm going to feed into this audience for the next 15 days. I'm feeding into this audience because here's what I want to do. I may be doing another video later on in another 3 or 4 hours. Here's what I want to do for the next 15 days. I want to pour out. I want to connect with you guys. I want to share with you. I want to create an experience that allows us to have a level of confidence and trust that I'm not here to just sell you on something. I'm here to help you change your life. And let me just go back a little bit. Here's one of the biggest reasons why it means so much to me. How many parents out there? Raise your hand. Right, there you go. Cool. Every parent knows we can tell our kids things until they are blue in the face. And it's a struggle to get them to follow what we're talking about. And we know it's the best thing for their life. But you know what? You know how they do a majority of their learning? They observe us. They watch us. They even start to speak like we do. They even have little gestures like we do. They might even have little tics or twitches in their lip, because they're watching. One of the biggest motivators for me is that you learn this information and that the subject of money no longer is taboo to the point where, everything is hush hush and closing. You're just going around living this life, right? Not even able to connect anywhere near what your purpose is for why you're here, because you're not able to harness those resources in order to move your life in a different direction. Who really suffers? Your kids. Think about it. Where and how did you learn about your financial strategies? My mom was an awesome lady. Oh my God. God bless her soul. Taught me that I could do and be anything and do anything I wanted and be anyone I wanted to be. I became an entrepreneur at a very young age. I knew nothing about investing. I knew nothing about how to make money work. Nothing. And so I did what I knew how to do best, and that was to earn it, right? And so it's a gift that you give to your children that will keep on giving and giving and giving. And there's a word that talks about strongholds and generational curses. Folks, I used to think that it was some kind of hocus pocus, voodoo kind of thing that was going on, right? It really is not. It's the habits that we operate in, that our children watch us operate in, and they themselves then start to operate in them. And then the next thing we know, we just reproduced ourselves, and we almost don't like it. We almost hate it, don't we? But we reproduced our own selves in our kids, who then grow up and have kids and reproduce their mommy and daddy in their kids, and they kind of don't like it either. And then they go and reproduce, and that's the generational curse. Those are the strongholds. Those are the things that become generational. And then we look at them and we wonder, how do we get out? So I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring this easel in and I'm going to show you. All right? Guys, I appreciate all the feedback that you're giving me. And just because I'm trying to, how long have I been doing this? I guess about 30 minutes or so. So what I want to do is this. I want to share something with you, and I want each of you to do this. So if you have pen and paper, grab it. If you don't, just try and remember the formula. I think this thing, you can replay it. I'm learning about this technology thing, and I'm really loving this. Thank you so much for your comments and your presence here. I appreciate it. So Keisha, hopefully I answered your question. The course, all that information will become available. But in the meantime, I just want you to stay with me and follow me through this process, because once you begin to change your mind and your understanding becomes more acute and aware, you will fall into the tools and the courses and the programs that I have like a fish to water. It'll be seamless, painless. It won't be hard. I'm going to pour into you guys. My goal is at least every day, but at least 2 to 3 times a day, whether you can come live or not, you'll be able to push these things or somewhere on the page, find them and replay them, right? And then the other thing I'll do is I'll break them up in segments, and I'll do that through my YouTube channel. So here's the thing I want you to look at. Take your piece of paper. So for me, I'm 50, how old am I? 55, I'll be 56 in February, right? So I've been working as an entrepreneur or a legitimate job, where I W-2s and, taxes and all that stuff. Let's say since I was 21. But I'm going to sake of math, I'm going to make the number a little easy. So I'm going to say 25. So I'm 55, that's 30 years. So here's what I want you to do. Find that number, that starting point. So whether it was just out of college at 22 or 23, whatever it may be. So take that number. So in my case, it is, I'm going to say 25. So, oh my goodness, you can't see that. I can. Can you see it? All right. So your number is 25. So 25, and I'm going to say an average of, let's just say an average of $75,000 per year. Right? So anybody doing the math, let me grab my calculator, my phone, and let me do the math real quick. So take your number and just kind of, it doesn't have to be accurate to the 1,000 or even 5,000. Just take a number. And I want you to do this. And I want you to post it. I want you to post your number. Right? So my number is 25 years times, no, I'm sorry. My number is 30 years, right? Right. It's 30 years, Larry. 30 years. 30 years times $75,000, right? So 30 years times 75,000, right, equals $2,250,000, right? $2,250,000. Did I do that right? One more zero. That's a period. That's a comma. Is that crazy or what? Is that crazy? Is that crazy? 30 years, I've had an economy. I created an economy. Somebody paid me. Someone paid me money for my labor, my sweat equity, my time, my expertise. They paid me. So 30 years at $75,000, $2.2 million. Folks, there's money in your household. The question is, are you harnessing it? That's the question. So, I don't know. Did anybody put a number up there? Did anybody put a number up? Whatever your number is. Okay, so you might not want to share it. And we haven't gotten to that point yet where you like, yeah, I made $1.5 million. So here's the question I'm going to ask me in this video, and you ask yourself in this illustration. 30 years times $75,000, $2.2 million, right? How many people have 5% of whatever their number is, right? So $2.2 million times 0.05 equals, that would be $112,500 in my case. Right? Now, how many people Let's take 10%. That's easy enough. That's 200 and I think it's 250. Right? In a 401k, a Roth IRA, a mutual funds, in property, I'm talking equity, not appraised value. In gold and silver, in art, in any asset that you've 250 or 10% of whatever you've earned up to now. Now, here's the part that I want you to think about. In my case, I'm 55. So if I go with the traditional number of 65, I have 10 years left. So if I don't have 5% in my retirement, or I don't have 10% in my retirement, this stuff is non-existent. What am I going to do between now and 10 years from now when I want to retire in order to have enough money to do so? So let me give you the formula for retirement. Okay. So let me give you the formula for retirement. I just got a notification that the camera is flipping the numbers, right? So you guys are going to have to bear with me, and I'll figure out the next time how to make it not flip the numbers. So the rule for retirement is from the year that you decide you're no longer going to work, you should have at least 30 years of salary in an investment. Let me say it again. So if you retire at 65, you should have $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 times 30 years. That's right, you're going to live 30 years. That's right, right? So the retirement formula is 30 years of salary. Folks, that's the reason why a lot of us are going to have to still work, right? Unless we do something different. And so I'm not going to get in numbers. I'm not going to get caught up at this point. I guess I feel like I've taken enough time. I want to thank you for hanging on. I will pick up on this when I do resume. What do you say? How in the world do I do that, Keisha? It really is simple. It is really simple. Folks, I said to you, I worked from the age of 23. From the age of 23 until 40, I'd earned about $100,000 a year. So that's 17 years at $100,000, plus or minus, right? That's $100,000 times 17 years, $1.7 million. But at the age of 40, I was $88,000 in debt. Now, for those of you folks who are in Cambridge and have heard some of the stories, I went back home and I started a nonprofit organization working with children and families. And because I didn't understand money, didn't understand how it works, right? I thought I would have it forever, and it was a good and noble cause that I was going home for. And so God would make a way, and I could just do all the things I needed to do. Well, I went broke. And that's when I had to get on this bandwagon of learning and understanding, right? And so in 4 years, took me 2.5 years to get rid of the number. And so I'm going to share the number with you guys who tune in at 8 o'clock. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do this at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, I'm going to share the details. I'm going to get naked with you, not take my clothes off, metaphorically speaking. I'm going to get open and transparent and share the numbers with you. Okay? It's unbelievable. It is so unbelievable. Let me tell you something. If you're not learning, and forgive me, let me calm down because I get real excited. If you're not learning how to use money as a tool, Dion and Keisha and Wendy, I didn't know exactly what I was doing with the phone and with the camera and the Facebook and what have you. Yeah, I watch it every day and I got it. Don't know how to. And so I delayed my presentation. by 30 minutes. Lack of knowledge, right? If you don't know how to make you, so what did I do? I called on a resource. Thank God I had that resource, right? Call on a resource. That resource, because of their knowledge and expertise, walked me right through it. I didn't have to go take a course. I didn't have to, they walked me right through it. And that's what this is about. It's about shifting your thinking from the traditional ways that we watched and learned and have been taught about money. Folks, and I hate to say this, it is not in the best interest of the American economy, because we operate in a system called capitalism. And I'll get into that a little later in one of the subsequent videos. You have to understand what capitalism is. Capitalism is a razor-sharp sword. This is a metaphor. It's like a razor-sharp sword that has two edges. One gives and one takes. One will give and one will take. Every benefit financially, especially today, in today's times, every benefit financially that you want to participate in, you can, just like someone who's a 1%er. Just like someone who makes 300,000, 400,000, a million, 10 million, every single benefit is there for you to take advantage of, just like they are. What do you think is the difference? What do you think is the difference? Knowledge and application of that knowledge. And they all have someone like me on their team. Every wealthy person has a CPA, a financial person in their life to help them, direct them in terms of investments and opportunities and that kind of thing, and an attorney. And I can even show you how to do those things as well. But so where was I? I'm going to share later, right? But so knowledge is the key. It is the life-changing equalizer. I can take a person who makes $25,000 a year. $25,000 a year. And as I said in my example, and I'm going to share the numbers tonight when I do the broadcast, it's mind-boggling. I can show someone who earns $25,000 a year, because it's not what you earn, right? What is it? It's what you keep. I can take a person who earns $25,000 a year, and if they're willing to develop themselves in their mind and their attitude and their approach to life, and together we construct a plan designed for them and their $25,000 a year salary, I can help them become a multimillionaire in 7 to 10 years. How's that possible? Because when they're able to put aside the influences and the thoughts of other people in their life, guess what? Now they can begin to take their wealth and apply it in a way that will help them to create a life that is unbelievable. And so, folks, here's what you have to look forward to tonight. I'm going to share with you tonight, I'm going to share the numbers. I'm going to go ahead and get transparent. I'm going to share the numbers tonight. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share something that's going to blow your mind and help you understand how this happens to all of us. You're not alone. The benefit that you have of working with someone like me who has gone through all the frustrations is that I've been there. I can't judge you because I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing. I know what it feels like to not be able to participate in your life. I know what it feels like to have to say no to your kids. I know what it feels like to not be able to. It's the embarrassment, the shame. There's no way I can judge you, but I can, because I understand and empathize with you, put you on a course to change your life. And so, folks, I want to thank you again. I'm going to ask that you like, comment, and share. I want us to spread the news, spread this word. I would love for each of you to be a part of my community. I would like for each of you to create your own communities, and I'm going to share with you how to do that. And let's change our households, then change our neighborhoods, then change our communities, then change our towns. It's possible. Like, comment, and share, please, and invite all your friends to join us on the next video. I'll be doing that at about 8 o'clock. And God bless you. And again, thanks for honoring me with your presence. I hope that I haven't taken up too much of your time, and it's engaging, you understand, and you're with me. I'm looking forward to this. Remember, we got 14 more days of this. It's going to be fun. Thank you, and God bless.